We know that North York Centre was always envisioned as a vibrant urban destination, but we also know that we need to make the right city building moves in order to take it over the finishing line. Right now, this stretch of Yonge Street is in fact very dangerous, even though there's many pedestrians walking on the sidewalks. There are over 2,000 collisions that have happened in this portion of Yonge Street over the course of the past 2 years. And that's bad for businesses, and it's also bad for residents who live nearby and who shop here. We can create a street that is an attractive place to shop, to walk, to drive, to bike, a place where people can be entertained and entertain. This could be a beautiful pedestrian promenade with wider sidewalks, with safe crossings, with beautiful landscaped medians. But we have to have the vision in order to deliver on that potential. That's why I will advance the Transform Yonge proposal, which was developed through a 2-year consultation process that will make this place right now, that is really like a thoroughfare, even though it has a subway underneath the 6-lane highway, we will make it into a beautiful and wonderful destination in North York. Now, Mayor Tory has supported a different plan. He has supported a plan that is less preferred to the Transform Yonge proposal. It's less safe for pedestrians, for cyclists, as well as for drivers. It also provides less support for Main Street retail and for existing businesses. It also includes a longer and more disruptive construction period, and it costs $20 million more, and it has no significant difference to the traffic flow. So really, it's about worse outcomes that are going to cost us more money. We have an opportunity here to take this underperforming urban center that has a subway running right through the heart of it and to turn it into a wonderful destination and a wonderful place. We've heard from the businesses in this area that in order to expand and grow in this place, there needs to be more there. There needs to be more of a place in this center. We've also learned in talking to businesses about why they haven't located in this location that there needs to be more of an urban place, that the North York Centre can become a wonderful, beautiful, urban and pedestrian destination. This is the right plan for the future. This is about addressing population growth and creating a heart in North York as was always envisioned. Before I take questions, I would also like to acknowledge that this is very close to the location where the van attack took place on April 23rd. And of course, that attack has changed our city in so many ways and demonstrates that we need to be focusing on creating safer streets and focused on prevention. I'm happy to take your questions.
The obvious problem is people say that merchants need on-street parking and people need to drive between here and there. So what's your answer to the traffic?
So the changed proposal doesn't impede traffic flow in any way. That's the first part. The second is, we talk a lot about the opportunity of building transit in this city and how when we build transit, we can start to create walkable places where businesses will thrive. And yet, we here have a problem of design. We have a subway. The subway already exists. And going north in rush hour, there's lots of room on that subway. But the problem is, this acts like a highway, slicing what should be a center and a neighborhood in two. So this is really about redesigning the street in order to create a destination. I'll give you a perfect example. I met a woman several weeks ago on the campaign trail who said to me that she didn't support this transformation of the center. And she said, because I always drive there. And she lives just 5 minutes from the subway. And I said, well, do you take the subway downtown or you drive downtown? She said, oh, I always take the subway downtown. So I asked, why is it that you take the subway downtown? Well, because when I get downtown, I can walk everywhere. So using that logic, I asked her, I said, if we made the North York Centre a wonderful place to walk, wouldn't you take the subway there too? And she looked at me and nodded and said, well, yeah, of course I would. So that's the power of creating a redesigned center that is a pedestrian destination. Right now, every clue in how this designed is about cars moving quickly. But the goal here is to make this a place, to make this the heart of North York, and to demonstrate that we can transform our hubs outside of the core into walkable, beautiful, green places. This is not a very green environment, it's not a very safe environment, but with vision and with the Transform Yonge plan, it can be all those things. It just takes political will and a belief that we can make this a true place to get it done.
Jennifer, just for clarity, does that mean that your plan includes having the bike lane along Yonge Street? Why do you think that's
Yes, it does, and for a very important reason. The corridor is a destination. The mistake of moving the bike lanes away from the corridor is assuming that this is just going to be a place that people go through. But cyclists, in fact, are also, we know, an important part of local Main Street commerce. We've been able to demonstrate where we've implemented cycle lanes in other parts of the city that cyclists actually spend more locally. So if we see this area as a destination that is both for cyclists, it's for pedestrians, it is for people taking transit as well, then we will have the infrastructure where people are going instead of putting it on the outside, which fundamentally misunderstands the whole idea of turning this area into a destination. So the good news is this is already in the city budget, and my plan is $20 million less than Mr. Tory's plan. So by turning this into an urban center, we can get better outcomes, we'll do a better job of attracting businesses to this center, and we will also spend $20 million less. Well, one of the interesting things that we've seen over the course of the past term under Mayor Tory is that the mayor's role actually matters. That the mayor, by bringing forward a vision, can generate a broad consensus around a vision, and that's exactly what I intend to do, is to generate that vision and that consensus around transforming our suburbs into places that attract business, that have jobs close to where people live, so that we can start tackling the long commute head on. Well, I think the connection is that many city planners, our excellent staff at the City of Toronto, are looking into the future, which is their job, and identifying what's in the long-term interests of the city. And that's exactly what I'm doing in my campaign, is bringing forward ideas that are really about 21st century city building. They're not based on old ideas, 1950s infrastructure. They're based on the future city. We're adding a lot of new people to this city, and we know that we can't add more cars. Our streets are full already. But what we can do is create places where we use transit and build out the transit network that we need. That's what we can do in this city. So I think these two ideas are entirely linked. You're entirely right to connect them, in that they're about looking at the future city and planning for a future condition in the city, and ensuring that we're creating great places in every single corner of our city. There's another part, though, is that both of the alternative plans that Mr. Tory brought forward are costly. They're incredibly costly and have poor outcomes. $1 billion to rebuild an expressway and to tie up 12 acres of waterfront land just doesn't make sense. It's not good planning, but it's also not a good way to treat our biggest asset, which is our land. So my plan absolutely is about being smart, it's about being efficient, It's about looking into the future and recognizing how we can create a sustainable, green city and use our money wisely as a municipality instead of, expensive plans like this one that are based on politicking instead of a vision of the future. Well, I of course cannot say that unilaterally because I can't speculate about the future, but I will say that what you're seeing as an approach in this campaign is a data-driven approach that is based on best practices that are future-oriented. So I think what a lot of us are really tired of in the City of Toronto is this approach where the community there has to be a tremendous amount of community outcry before we see the mayor do the right thing. And you're going to see something very different in my campaign, and in my mayoralty, which is embracing best practices, being vision driven, recognizing the hope and optimism that Torontonians have about the future of their city, and their willingness and their openness to planning for the future city instead of keeping things the way they are. My golf course announcement yesterday was exactly that as well, recognizing that usage in golf courses is declining, not just in Toronto, but across North America. So there's less and less people that are using golf courses, and yet we've tied up a significant amount of land that's only available for half of the year. My plan is to take 3 of the 5 courses and to consult with the community in order to create amazing community spaces with cricket pitches and ice skating and cross-country skiing and all kinds of activities that respond to the local neighborhood and the local community. That's about being future-oriented. It's about recognizing the trends, the data, and ensuring we're using our land in a way that's going to be in the public interest for the future. I think there's an incredible opportunity in redesigning this boulevard to think very carefully, of course, and it's rooted in public safety, but also pedestrian safety. And there will be an incredible opportunity through public art to acknowledge this incredibly tragic day in our city's history, but also to acknowledge the outpouring of love that we saw in this community following the attack that demonstrated our resilience as a city and our commitment to ensuring that we're creating a safe city for absolutely everyone. Thank you very much.